Welcome back to G-Tech Motorworks, guys. Today I've got the BMW E46 M3 Common Problems. So we are going to be starting with the engine. Now, just to remind you guys, I know I'm giving you the common faults on these vehicles. I do have a soft spot for E46 M3s, and I actually did own one as well. So just a few things to look out for. We'll start with the engine. The famous word for every BMW owner, VANOS. What is VANOS? VANOS is basically variable valve timing, and BMW call it VANOS. So on the E46s, M3s in particular, the VANOS units do fail. There's a few things on them. There's the electrical coil pack, there's some seals inside, and a Bison oil pump disc which fails. Best thing to do, we can refurbish them, or Mr. VANOS usually does the units and we fit them. So you can get that sorted. It's quite a common thing. Look out if you are going to buy one. It will throw up some engine lights with VANOS intake faults or VANOS exhaust faults, and that's a good indication to either get it sorted or walk away. Whilst overhauling the VANOS units, guys, we always replace the top guide for the timing chain. For some reason, this always breaks. Another thing on the E46 M3 quite common is the rocker cover gasket. They do fail quite a bit. At G-Tech Motorworks we do see a few of these. Now the engine does sit on a slant. If you have a look at it, it's a straight six engine, but it's slanted slightly, and they look good when you rev them up, they tilt. But the oil leaks usually on this side where the exhaust manifold is. They get pretty hot, and then the oil tends to drip down onto the manifold, and you get like a oil barbecue smell. You can usually just pop your head down there and have a look, see if it's leaking oil, round the side and round the back. That's another common thing on these. Another common one, guys, is the viscous fan pulley. Now this is quite an old technology where basically the fan is driven off the engine. So it's not like a normal car where the fan is electric. This is driven from the engine to cool the engine down. They usually fail. We've seen quite a few of these where the viscous system inside fails and stops working. Water pumps, we've had a few where they leak over time. There's like a tube with two seals on it which goes to the cylinder head. The seals on them can leak and you will have a coolant leak. I've had a few with expansion tanks crack at the bottom. Not so much, mainly on the 330i's, the E46. On these, a few of the times we have had expansion tanks which crack at the bottom. Other than that, guys, engine wise, these are pretty bomb proof. The S54 engine is a solid one. It's a race engine and they sound beautiful when you open them up. Everything's high end, but just some of the things there to look out for, you know, like I mentioned before. But there's not loads of things on these. Like I said, they're pretty good. We're going to move on now, guys, to mechanical problems. On to the mechanical common faults of the E46 M3. So, another big scare word for the BMW E46 M3, guys, is the SMG gearbox. There's a big misconception. People think the SMG gearbox is actually an auto. Well, let me tell you something in case you didn't already know. It's not a conventional auto. The SMG actually stands for sequential manual gearbox, okay? So it's a full manual box. It's got a clutch, it's got a flywheel, it's got a bearing, it's got all the components that a manual gearbox has. So one would say, why is it called SMG? Here's why. So it's got a sequential selection system, which is basically an electronic selector which engages and disengages the gears via a hydraulic motor, which is what I'm coming on to, which always fails. Now, you might come to one of these, go to buy one, and the gear light is on for the SMG gearbox. It's a big expensive repair, guys. The hydraulic unit does fail on the SMG unit itself. The seals fail inside, we overhaul them. We also use a pump from Burkhardt Engineering in Germany, who are regular suppliers. Big shout out to them. And we literally fit the new pump, which runs at a higher tolerance, and it uses a different fluid to what the genuine BMW stuff is. It's actually a Pentacin fluid. With the SMG problem, guys, there's a few things you must replace. So the overall of the hydraulic unit itself with the seals, you must replace the wiring. There's a temperature sensor on there that also needs to be replaced. There's a salmon relay which lives under here, guys. So a lot of people, when they get this light on and there's like a electrical fault with the SMG, try replacing the salmon relay first. It's under that black box. So like I said, adding on to the SMG issues, there's a few things that we also recommend whilst the vehicle is in with us. The actual selector mechanism, which sits on the side of the gearbox, they always fail. They have a position sensor in them, and this will also throw up a fault for the SMG gearbox. Whilst the gearbox is out, we also recommend to do the indent springs. So they're little tiny springs with ball bearings, and they sit on the side of the box, held on with 210 mils and a plate. You can order these parts from BMW. They're not relatively expensive, they're quite cheap, and for the sake of 15-20 minutes, pull the indent springs out. You'll find that they will be broken over the years. Every single one I've took out, when you take the spring out, they come out in 2 or 3 pieces. So do the indent springs. If the box is out, do the clutch, do the flywheel, and do the bearing as well, guys. There's no point not doing it if the gearbox is out. So they are the SMG issues with the E46 M3. Moving on to the wear and tear things for the E46 M3. Pretty general, to be honest with you guys. So rear springs, there's a massive one on these. I mean, the amount of times at BMW I used to pull a car off the ramp and the rear spring would go twang, broken. The pigtails right at the bottom, they break all the time. Yeah, all the time they break, rear springs. And then the rest is literally like shockers, anti-roll bar links. You've got the front arms, ball joints, they have play in them sometimes. But these are all wear and tear stuff. That can happen with any car. Another thing that is mechanical and structural, which I want to speak about, a lot of people shy away from this subject, but because I did an overhaul on my actual M3, I will speak about this. Now, these engines are very powerful and very torquey. Now, with it being a rear-wheel drive, when the power is applied over years, the subframe slightly twists, and what that does is causes hairline cracks in the body. So what we do here at G-Tech, guys, is drop the tank, fuel tank, we drop the subframe. Whilst we're at it, we put the subframe bushers in there, power flex. We also fit these welding plates over the cracks, hairline cracks, in the mounting areas of where the subframe goes to reinforce them, and then we literally clean all the underneath. Whilst we're at it, we do the brake pipes as well, because they're an absolute nightmare to get to. They literally run over the fuel tank. So if you've got the fuel tank out, go ahead and do your brake pipes as well. Mechanical, guys, that's about it. Let's move on to some electrical problems. One of the common electrical issues I've seen with the E46 M3 over the years of working on these is the auto dimming mirror inside, the rear view mirror. So the actual auto dimming solution or mechanism inside, which changes the frequency and sort of color of the mirror, that fades out and sort of just, I think it blows up inside or pops or something. So there's a company online that refurbs them, or you can get a new mirror. So there's that. The original head units, guys, they usually have a crack inside the screen where the pixels sort of fade out. That's another common one I've seen on these. The other common issue I've seen on these is the rear LED lights. Some of the LED lights begin to pop out and bring on a light. The rear number plate wiring loom for the lights, they always fail. And there's a wiring loom on the trunk. If you lift the trunk up, there's a wire which runs. The earth wires and a few of the cables we've seen in there, over time of opening and closing, they can break as well. Electrical wise, guys, these are pretty good. So we've not had much issues with electrics like that. There's 2 sensors on the back of the hydraulic unit here as well. They always come on and fail. They're under the master cylinder hydraulic units. They always fail. They're literally 2 pressure sensors. So if you get any hydraulic pressure sensor faults, there's 2 sensors. They are under the brake fluid reservoir here on the master cylinder, and that's a very common problem on these. Now on to my favorite part, tuning. Everybody knows IMTY likes to tune cars. E46 M3, the best thing with these, they are naturally aspirated, so no turbos, no superchargers, 343 horsepower straight out the box, very torquey, very loud, okay? Now this bad boy here, the airbox, is a very great design from BMW. they're actually run on individual throttle bodies, so similar to a motorbike engine. This is why they're noisy and loud, like Jurgen Klopp. Yeah. So when they open up, very loud. Our good friends at Evolve do the induction kit, which I had on mine. Eventually, give them a check out, very good. They really bring out the sound, so they're very good. We also offer the CSL gearbox tuning for these guys. With the SMG especially, obviously manual, you can't tune the manual gearbox. It's just a straightforward, conventional manual gearbox. With the SMGs, we do offer the CSL gearbox tune. Now, most of you will ask, what is this? This is basically the software which comes with the CSL version of the E46 M3, much more responsive with rev matching, and you can also add pops on the exhaust if you really want to. Not my kind of thing, but yeah. So that software can be done. Tuning wise, you don't really get much out of tuning these unless you start messing around with cams and stuff. Like I said, it's a race engine anyway, but stage 1 takes it up to around 360 horsepower, 370. So, you know, not massive like return you would get out of a turbo or a supercharger, but still pretty impressive. Other than that, people do upgrade the suspension systems on them and things like that. We've seen loads of these at Nürburgring as well. E92's loads. We'll see quite a few of E46 M3s as well. So once the common issues are sorted, they're actually a great track car as well. So that's it from G-Tech Motorworks, guys. Please stay tuned. We've got plenty more content coming. Thank you for messaging us and commenting. I really appreciate all the comments. And thank you for watching. Like, share and subscribe. Derby's BMW Volkswagen Audi Group Specialist. Stay tuned, guys.